Right, hello everyone, I'm joined by Dominic Ingle and my dad. We've come up sparring and we've told some great stories in the gym, and I thought while I'm a YouTuber I would get them both on the camera doing so. So what story would you like to start with? My dad beating up when you was a kid?
When your dad came to the gym, little fella, not no bigger than he is now, he's not changed, but he had dark black hair and he never smiled. You were like a better version, smaller, better looking version of you, Dave.
That's what your dad used to say to me as well.
And he never used to smile. He used to walk. He used to walk in, and like he was ready to rip somebody's head like everybody. He didn't like anybody. He likes the right surly look on his face. And he must have been about. I'd have been about 14, so he's a good 7 years older than me. So I'd say 8 years older. So he must have been in his 20s, about 23. And he didn't really have a muscle on his body, but he used to get in sparring, and he'd only be body sparring. And we used to spar him with pros. I remember looking at him and sparring with him, and he used to give anybody an eye. Didn't matter whether you were 14, 15, 12, 18, 21. Anybody who got in that ring were fair game. We were only body sparring. You understand?
Yeah.
And you know, he never smiled. He got in there, got his job done. He didn't really do much training out floor, just like beating people up in ring. Didn't like doing any other kind of training, just fighting.
Were he any good though? How good were he?
But it was same old story. Could fight for fun, as my dad would say, but didn't want to train.
Yeah.
If they were just an hour of fighting, he'd rather do that. Just turn up for a fight. Didn't want to do training, boring bit. Just want to do exciting bit.
Yeah.
So same old story. If he'd have listened, done as he were told, he'd have been definitely been a British champion. Yeah. But it's you know, there's so many stories. It was same with you. You could have been right up there. But unless you've got somebody who's telling you, which he did, he had me dad. But then you've got to listen. So the people who listened, or the people who didn't listen, Dave, Mick Mills, do you understand? They could all fight from Thryborough, from Donny. You know, these pit villages, they could all fight for fun. They'd be fighting in the street, but they were getting paid for it here. But they didn't take it on board and follow the plan. You got people like Kel Brook, you know, same type of characters, but they just listened and did it and followed it. Whether they thought it was right or wrong, they did it. That's where they got. So there's no difference really between him and Kel Brook, or Mick Mills and Kel Brook, or him and Mick Mills. No different at all.
Yeah.
So, like I say, at least now, with a bit of hindsight, he's training kids, he's helping you. You've had a bit of a boxing career, and hopefully you'll take all the mistakes that you made and you'll apply it to the kids you're training, and you're only in your 30s.
Yeah.
The first time I started training professional fighters properly, I was 27. At 30, I was training Nas for a world title fight. So now I'm 57, and I'm kind of more or less finished. So you're just starting, and it's going to take you a good 10 years of getting it wrong and right. You're going to get kids like him coming in who could do it and probably won't. Then you're going to get kids walking off the street who are going to do it. But it's only going to work if you stick, and keep learning from the mistake and not making the mistake.
You know,
look at your mistakes. Look at your dad's mistakes.
He's kissed blind, don't like his dad. The thing, what about me boxing? Your dad gave me a shillelagh.
Yeah.
To keep women.
Do you know what a shillelagh is?
Yeah, it's a stick to keep women.
Yeah.
The thing is now I have to go out with one of them shepherd's crooks.
I know, to pull them in. I know. But that's it. Same old story.
Yeah, well,
God's gift to women in Mick Mills.
Well, yeah, we enjoyed it,
yeah.
Dominic. That was the thing.
That's it. But back in them days, there was no other entertainment, were there? So you went to pubs. Yeah. You know, Mick Mills worked on the doors. I don't know if you worked on doors. No. But same with him, because he's not particularly big. He's not as big as you. Is that he don't even back then, he was a good looking kid, but he didn't like he could smack his lips. But imagine picking on him, you know what I mean? You get filled in and you'd be thinking, Jesus, they go for the smallest fella in pub or smallest fella in club, but he could fight, he'd rip your head off.
It's like cowboy films pulling a gun on you.
I saw him beat plenty in that gym, big fellas up, middleweights. You box at Welter, didn't you?
Yeah.
Middleweights, super middleweights. Like, they'd be looking in disbelief that this little fella who were ripping into him, and he couldn't stick with him because he was fit. So yeah, happy days.
Well, in different times like that. I know, like footballers, Bobby Charlton smoking. You won't get away with it.
No, Mick Mills used to come out of this gym and have a fag outside the gym.
What era was your favourite at the gym? My dad's with Bomber at that time, or Kel, or Nas?
Do you know what? It's all been good for different reasons. It were different times, and like back in them days when Errol Graham were in him. Peter Bennett, Mark Slater, Walter Clayton, Glenn Rhodes, all these characters, Nicky Daly, they could all be fantastic fighters, but you know, they just came a bit too early before my dad turned everybody over pro. So, you know, they were great times because there were harder people about, there were more fights about, they were more entertaining, there were more characters. the fighters of this, you know, the British fighters of this day and age, they won't live with British fighters back 20, 30 years ago. They won't, because they were hard men.
That's
So
right, yeah.
they wouldn't have done. In this day and age, he would have been a British champion.
Yeah.
Well, just looking at what's out there now, it would have been. But that's just about levels. It's just how it is. And there's less people going into boxing. There's less amateur clubs bringing fighters through. So, you know, at some point they're going to start scraping barrel for decent kids. And you can see it there. There's not anybody really coming through.
So one last question on that as well, to settle an argument. Who was the better boxer, senior or junior?
Him.
I'm not saying.
Well, I'm not
thanks.
going to argue it now. That's fair enough.